On The Sopranos, we encountered a variety of lawyers, some working for the government and others who worked on the defense side. The two lawyers I'm going to focus on today are Melvoin, Junior's lawyer, and Mink, lawyer of Tony Soprano, and some moral and ethical minefields they may have come across while representing their clients.
Peppers and eggs. That's what I should have had.
A lawyer has the obligation to pursue their client's interests despite opposition or personal inconvenience to the lawyer. Mink and Harold Melvoin know who they're representing. Some people may look at them and think, oh, they're just dirty mob lawyers. But that's just par for the course when it comes to representing unpopular clients.
I'm sick and tired of sitting around on my hands. I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
Down to Boca with your lady friend?
What the fuck you know about it?
You may or may not already be aware of this term, but very quickly, attorney-client privilege is a key element of our legal system, and it protects privileged communications between lawyer and client. There are exceptions to this privilege, which I'll talk more about in the video. There's nothing wrong with your attorney telling you to go take some time off, let things cool down a little, even though we know things didn't cool down. Now, if there was a warrant out for Junior's arrest, or Melvoin had somehow gotten a heads up that the feds were coming for him, and then he told Junior, you gotta get out of here and go down to Boca and hide from the feds, and I'm gonna help you be a fugitive on the run, now that would not be okay. Your attorney cannot assist you in committing further fraud or crimes.
The wheels of justice turn slowly. Take her to Florida.
Jury has claimed they are deadlocked. However, I'm inclined to agree with prosecution. I'm going to give them additional time to reach a verdict.
Hey, listen, Danny, we just want you to know how glad we are a guy like you was on that jury. That mob thing, that Junior Soprano trial.
Does Melvoin have a responsibility here?
What are you doing? It's a privilege. Wife and 2 kids. Performing a civic duty we should all take part in. We know you do the right thing.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I see that you are hopelessly deadlocked. Mr. Melvoin, I've read your application for dismissal on the grounds of mental incompetence, and I've reviewed the findings of the doctors in this matter. Frankly, they were unmoved by Mr. Soprano's performance.
I'm milking this thing for all it's worth.
Maybe you're not milking it enough.
Yellow. Why? What's going on?
What's going on? Back here in the States, I think we got a mistrial.
Our psychiatrist will testify as to your reduced mental capacity.
And blah, blah, blah.
If the court finds you lack fitness to proceed, the trial will be suspended and the charges against you dismissed with prejudice or delayed.
I call this woman. She runs an elder care agency. She's got an RN that'll play ball. All you gotta do is act two bots.
Crazy like a fox, my little nephew.
In my opinion, Melvoin shouldn't have been in the room during this portion of the conversation where Tony talks explicitly about a nurse who's willing to play ball and that all Junior has to do is act do bots. Attorney-client privilege doesn't protect conversations where a client is using their lawyer to help commit a crime or hide one. It isn't a shield for criminal activity. Once a client starts using a lawyer to plan or hide a crime, the privilege disappears. And when it comes to attorney-client privilege, the presence of a third party can waive that privilege. So in this conversation we have with Junior, Tony, Melvoin, and Bobby, Tony and Bobby are not Melvoin's clients. Only Junior is. But when Melvoin tells the judge that since Junior's accident, he hasn't had one meaningful conversation with him, this could very well be true.
Your Honor, please. Since his injury, I have not had a single conversation with Mr. Soprano in which we've related on any meaningful level.
Junior's mental decline is ambiguous enough that Melvoin can plausibly work within the gray area. Junior is deteriorating. It would be very hard to prove ethical or legal wrongdoing on Melvoin's part. Now, as far as the juror intimidation, there's no evidence to indicate that Melvoin was involved in it or had knowledge of it. Although, to be clear, Melvoin's not stupid.
It's from Mel. The poor guy had a stroke, you believe it? He's younger than me.
Melvoin?
But if you think Melvoin got off easy, turns out the guy's got some bad luck coming his way when he has a stroke.
Here we go, the Mink lecture series. Not laughing, Neil.
No.
We paid you the courtesy of a visit. I want you to come down to the station to talk.
Oh, God, Mommy! Mommy, please, Tony!
To talk.
About Matthew Bevilacqua.
You have to be absolutely 110% sure this is who you saw.
This is definitely the man I saw.
Procrastinate. Let me get our ducks in a row. In the meantime, keep your cool and go the speed limit. Don't give him an in.
What'd I just say?
This is some bad shit here.
What's up, Anthony? How did this happen?
Neil has no duty to disclose past crimes.
So what do I owe you, counselor?
You'll pay me when I actually have to do something.
Let's hope that fucking day never comes, right?
It almost did very recently. Well, isn't it fair to say we were staring into the abyss? A very close call at brush with a murder beef.
I told you. I was home alone.
You and Macaulay Culkin. Except that neither one of you would have been alone. You want to give me a real gift? Insulate yourself from these shenanigans. I told you once already.
Got a safe?
Yeah, why? You want to pay in advance?
Can Tony do this? Can Neil do this? Accept the money? A client can pay a lawyer hundreds of thousands of dollars in advance as an advance retainer or for substantial advanced costs like complex litigation, but the money must be held in a trust account. I'm not sure that a gym bag would qualify as Neil's trust account.
It's a little over $400K in there. I want you to hold it for me. If this goes down, I'm out of this area code. And my wife's gonna come in here once a week for an allowance. You don't ask her any questions, and you never, ever refuse her.
Lawyers generally cannot hold onto cash that they know is dirty. In other words, proceeds from a criminal act. Accepting and holding onto illegal cash can trigger criminal charges for money laundering.
And if you're gone longer than the money lasts?
Don't worry, you won't have to go into your own kick. This witness can't remain nameless forever.
I didn't hear that.
What if this witness didn't remain nameless forever and something happened to him and Neil knew what Tony was planning on doing?
There's an eyeball witness.
A lawyer is permitted, but not mandated, to disclose client info to prevent a crime likely to cause imminent death or substantial bodily harm.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Where's that detective's number?
On the fridge?
Where on the fridge?
On the fridge! On the fridge!
Once the eyeball witness decides he didn't actually see what he thought he saw, that was the end of Tony's Matthew Bevilacqua issue, and Neil gives Tony all that cash back. Now let's go towards the end of the series.
Somebody's giving grand jury testimony on something.
So Carlo has flipped.
We don't know who. My hunch, 80 to 90% chance you'll be indicted.
Neil doesn't say to Tony, Carlo's a rat. He says somebody's giving grand jury testimony on something. And my hunch, 80 to 90% chance you'll be indicted. So he doesn't tell Tony the name of a witness. He says he doesn't even know if Carlo's even a rat to begin with. But Tony's not stupid, and neither is Neil. A key part of our legal system is the ability to confront witnesses and confront those who have accused you of a crime. But in a case like this, where it's RICO, and I imagine that Carlo would have some form of protection, it's highly restricted and complicated, and it requires coordination through the U.S. Marshals. If Neil tried to contact Carlo one-on-one and in private, that could be considered witness tampering and jeopardizing the witness's safety for obvious reasons. Now, how do these rules actually pan out in real life? Is there any way to enforce them? Bruce Cutler, a defense attorney who represented John Gotti and got him acquitted multiple times, leading to his nickname Teflon Don, got in trouble for this eventually. Bruce Cutler was removed from John Gotti's defense team in 1991 because a federal judge ruled that he was essentially acting as in-house counsel for the mafia and that he was likely to be a witness himself. The FBI actually had tapes of him at Gotti's social club discussing criminal activity, which led to his disqualification before Gotti's final prosecution, where he was no longer Teflon Don.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
You look good, huh?
In terms of in-house counsel, it's a very rare occasion to see Neil anywhere on Tony's turf, though we do see it a couple of times, in the season 2 premiere and in the series finale.
Again, since you are at the helm, it all gets back to putting up bigger blinds.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this latest Sopranos legal video. What did you think of Neil and Melvoin?